Hi everyone, love from India in these days of quarantine. Here, thinking of you wherever you are and sending love from India. When I started this YouTube channel, I was not really, planning so much, and I had a lot of information that needed to be delivered. And yesterday I got a very good question. They asked me, why are you in India? Why do you love India so much? So I'm gonna make this video that it should have been in the beginning of all the videos, but anyways, it's happening now, and that's perfect. Why do I love India so much? Why am I here? Why do I live here? And for that, I need to go back and tell you a little bit my own personal story. And I don't want to speak too much about me, but I do want to focus on how yoga and India can change your life and redeem us from any suffering, any pain. So I was born in Costa Rica, and I was always attracted to mystical books, and my favorite story was Joan of Arc, and I always felt this deep yearning for spirit. And I was very lucky because my mother started practicing yoga when I was around 7 years old, and she would take me with her to class, and eventually I ended up practicing with a Peruvian teacher, by the way. But everything was kind of underground, and Costa Rica has always been a very Catholic country, and yoga was not very recommended. And that's how it happened. And then I went to law school, and then I got married, and my first marriage was very painful because my husband was sick. So from all those 10 years of deep, deep suffering, and suffering in the darkness, because I had no guidance, I had no idea what was happening. I was very young. I was completely and absolutely lost, and felt very, very abandoned and betrayed, and everything we need to go through in these lives to actually wake up. And it was my ex-husband who actually sent me to a meditation retreat in California, and that's how I started my spiritual practice. And it was a meditation that was so useful for me in those years, because it was about releasing heavy, heavy emotions, and just understanding that when you are in the connection, everything starts rearranging itself. So it was a beautiful gift that I received from my ex, and at the same time it was the start of a whole new life for me, and that's how India came. And my first trip to India, I completely knew and understood that this was my home. And then I started going back to Costa Rica, just waiting to come back to India. That's how it was, honestly. And I had children there, and I had my life, and I had my shala, and I held my shala for 17 years, and all my kids, they grew up in this yoga culture, not only with a yogini mama, but also with lots of practitioners from all over the world that eventually came to study with me, which I am very grateful for, because all of them are amazing human beings, and most of them keep their practices going, and this tool is so important, especially right now in these times of change. Anyways, I was living in Costa Rica, but I realized, that I was not thriving, and when you come to that point that you realize you're not thriving, and that you need to make major changes and take painful decisions, it's a very shaky ground in our lives. And I thank yoga and my teacher, because it's because of this practice that I could make my bold decisions and choose what was moving me, what was conducive for my spiritual evolution. Because anything that is there, that is weighing us down, that is just taking us more into the illusion of the samsara or whatever, it's just making us lose time. And it was very painful for me to take those decisions, but once I made them, my life started shining in so many ways. And then I started traveling and teaching. I traveled through almost all Latin America, Europe, and also I went to Japan, and the whole world opened to me once I made the tough decisions. And it was in this opening that the invitation to become the Costa Rican ambassador to India came. And it came as a huge surprise for me. I was like not expecting it at all. It came in a very random way, and at the same time so perfect, and it's the best gift someone has ever given me, because my dream was always to live in India. Of course I wanted to bring my children with me because I love my children dearly, and I made all the arrangements for them to come. I got them their passports, their diplomatic passports, their insurance, their visas and everything, and then I came here to explore and find a school and get a home and get like everything, all the logistics arranged. And finally I felt very ill because of all the, let's say, all the new conditions in India, and I realized it was not realistic to bring them with all my responsibilities as an ambassador, and also with my health that was not like in the best terms. So I finished my tenure, which was 1 year and 8 months, and I went to Costa Rica like 4 times to see my children in those months. But I really wanted to go back to Costa Rica, even though I knew that it was not the best placement for me, but my children were there. So I went back to fulfill my duty as a mother, even though I did not want to leave India. I have to confess it. Actually, before going back to Costa Rica in November 2018, I went into this beautiful town in Maharashtra. We were doing like a visit, an official visit with one of my friends there, and we went in a temple, and in the temple there was huge, lots of people and music and drums, and it was super powerful. And then one man went into a trance. And this is very rare, but it happens, once in a while, that you go in a place and in that same moment, a man goes into a trance and they start transmitting information. And they are in an altered state. So we were there and this happened, so I asked my friends, please ask them, how can I come back to India as soon as possible? That was my question. And then my friend asked the man in Marathi, because we were in Maharashtra, another state, and the man said, she is India's daughter. This is her home. That's what that man said, and I was like, yeah, I know this is my home, my spiritual home, but I have to go back to Costa Rica and raise my children. I have no other, I have to do it. I'm the mother. And when I went to Costa Rica, and then I found that that suit for change of custody, and it was absolutely devastating. But now that I am here and I look back, I realized that the prophecy was fulfilled. And even though it's been a huge legal drama with all this, with my ex-husband and the custody and everything, I am where I need to be. And I am close to my teacher, which is the most beautiful blessing in my life. I live in the same land as my guru. And that's the huge blessing, the biggest blessing that I can. I am married to an Indian, which I love dearly, which has taught me so much, which has protected me, taught me. He's also my teacher and my guru in many ways. And yes, I had to let go of everything I had built in my life in Costa Rica, and it was very painful. I have to say that it was extremely, excruciatingly painful to let go of my children. Why? Because I had this role of mother and teacher, and I was very identified with that, and that experience was completely shattered my heart, to the point that I came back to India and I was depressed for 4 months, and I couldn't eat or sleep, or I felt no meaning in my life without them. And then slowly, with the power of yoga and the presence of my teacher, I started healing. I was with my teacher for 2 months last year, and being there with my students, assisting him, being there with my colleague was such a immense gift of light for me, and anticipating everything that was coming. And very curiously, like 1 week before this pandemic was, before the lockdown came, I did my hearings for my custody case. And then everything was shut in Costa Rica, and we don't know what is going to happen next. But what I want to tell you from my own personal experience is that anything that comes to us that we don't anticipate, and that we may think that is a tragedy, that is absolutely absurd and crazy and betrayal and whatever, just welcome it with your full heart as if you had chosen it. Because grace knows exactly what we need. And we are so arrogant and so blind that we think we control, and we don't control anything in this life. And this crisis, this pandemic, is a huge wake-up call for all of us. We don't control anything. We are all going to die. We just don't know when. We are all alone, yes, in front of death. And we are these fragile, vulnerable beings in these bodies for a few years. And we need to really, choose this life. So whatever you have not done up to this day, please go do it. Please go do it. Please go do it. Please. That's my recommendation. It will be painful, of course. It will be intensely painful. Intensely painful to let go of your attachments. And at the same time, it will be blissful. It will be everything you've been asking for. It will be something that you need to do not only for yourself, but for others around you. Because when one of us wakes up, everything around us wakes up. I know I am doing this also for my children, because they will know that the mother follows her heart. And if we are in a path with the heart, we are in the right path. And yoga is that for me. Yoga is that healing practice that is there for us. It's a tool to experience life in a more fulfilling way, and at the same time it's a tool to be who we are authentically, without masks. And now that we are all wearing masks when we go out, it's such a metaphor. We have all been wearing masks in our lives and trying to be who we are not, and trying to fulfill other people's expectations about us, and we have not been free. And this is an opportunity to reassess everything in our lives and to make the hard choices, even if it's choosing between eating Doritos or eating an apple. Or just binging on ice cream when you're by yourself, or just holding your horses. And in every little decision that we make in our homes these days, the rest of our lives are going to be arranged. So my recommendation is follow your heart. Always follow your heart. Even if the choice is hard, do the right thing. Do the right thing. In my case, I was not going to obey a ruling that was unfair, that was based on lies, I was always a very responsible mother. And I love my children, and I want them with me. That's all I can say. And whatever the ruling is now, in the middle of this pandemic, everything is stopped and everything is rearranged, and we just need to be open to what is coming to us. I am just saying that I'm so glad this found me in India, and I would not be here if it was not for all the events that brought me here. So I'm grateful. I'm so grateful. So anything that happens is for our own upliftment. If we are in the right perception, let's be grateful. Even in the middle of all this craziness and this uncertainty, let's be grateful, because with our yoga, with our guru, with our soul, we can surpass any obstacle and grow, which is the most important thing for grow and evolve and thrive, because that's the way we need to thrive in our lives. Carpe Diem. Thank you. Namaste.